and we'll double back and review anything that the others have missed. Okay, so I just wanted to welcome you to the thesis course, and this semester, Dr. Hanan Awaad will also be joining us. So she'll be kind of monitoring the course and there as a resource for me and for the students as well. We were discussing some of the logistics of helping you with your thesis, the development of your thesis. So we'll talk a lot about that. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're I think you know that I like to get started with some of the details, and I believe that you've probably have had Dr. Awaad in other courses, so you're probably familiar with her, and she's an excellent professor.
Thank you, Professor Rex. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm very excited to work with her. She had interviewed me for this position, and then we were going to be working.
No, it was a discussion.
Yeah, we were going to be working on another course too, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I don't consider it interview. It was a friendly discussion. Yes.
Okay, well, that's fun. Okay, so this is her background and her credentials, and this is a little bit about me. And so these are the two textbooks that we're going to be using, and these are really good. I've been going through these for the past couple of weeks, and they're really good. There's some very, very good information in here to get you started and to actually work you through the entire process of writing that thesis. So I was really happy to come across these resources. So McGraw-Hill really came through with these. And we'll jump around in the chapters, and you'll see why we do that. We'll start with chapter 1, of course, in both of the textbooks, but then we'll jump around because they're organized a little differently, and we want to hit some specific topics, and so we'll kind of move back and forth. What I was really happy to see is that there's a really detailed section on APA style formatting, and so when you really get into writing that draft, the thesis, that's going to be very helpful. So I'm very, very excited about that. Okay, so this is the syllabus, and this portion is pretty typical. This is the basic header that we use. Weekly assignments will be available at Level 1 on Sunday mornings, and I'll try to stick to that as much as possible. And I added the two textbooks there, so you can have those. Okay, so this is I didn't put a whole lot of details in here because depending on how the course is moving along, I do like to have the flexibility of being able to really focus on an area that we may need to spend more time on. So I don't want to, be as rigid as putting it in here and then just have that expectation that we have to stick to it. We're going to learning is fluid and agile, and so we should treat it like that in this course as well. So week 1, we have the discussion, and that first discussion is really about, introducing yourselves. But since most of us know each other, I also added in there I think a component of tell us about your favorite argument. So it's something that you're really passionate about, and you can support that point, but it might not be popular, among the masses, but you have a strong opinion about it. So I thought that might be a great way to get us started on forming those arguments and how to support our thesis, even in the discussion. So we're going to stick with that theme throughout the course. Okay, we'll won't get away from that because the focus is to help you to develop that thesis. Okay, and then week 2 we have a discussion, and then there's a quiz, and it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just it gives me a diagnostic of where you are in the course, and as far as understanding the content, and if I'm doing a good job of facilitating that information and transferring that knowledge. So that's don't think too much of that. Along the way, we will have essays. There'll be shorter essays, 500 to 1,000 words, and this is to also get a gauge of how well you are understanding the concepts that we're going to be discussing through the course. So, and in fact, I'm hoping that as you go along with these essays, that you'll be able to drive some content that you may be using in your thesis as well. So we'll try to focus on that as much as possible. Okay, I want to allow some flexibility there. Okay, and then so then week 4 is again the discussion and the essay, and then we do the quiz, and then week 6 is the discussion and essay, and then you'll see that when we get here to week 11, it's just this discussion, because I'm going to give you more time to be working on your draft, that master's thesis draft. Okay, so I just want to give you all of this time to just be focused on that. And then we'll do a little bit of review in that week 14, and hoping that we'll have some questions and we can get some things answered and clarified before you finish that draft. Now, one of the things that Dr. Awaad and I were talking about was doing these one-on-one sessions with each student to really go through where you are, what are you focused on as far as your thesis, the topic. At some point, I will have to approve that, and I would like to give you as much time as possible to do that, and I don't want you to feel rushed. So we'll probably just start those one-on-ones in probably week 4, and so I get those set up. Now I'm flexible. I was on a call this morning with the international was it a consultants, business consultants, ICBC, and I had to get up at 2:30 a.m. to attend that call. It was an induction ceremony, and so I definitely I'm be flexible. So I'll work into your schedule so as much as possible, so that those one-on-ones are met. Okay.
And also, what will make also communication easier on one-on-one level is having shared documents on Google, for example. So the student, while they are developing their thesis, doing their reading, synthesizing articles and papers and so on, we can also see this progress, and maybe include some written comments, and giving the student the opportunity to read the comments, digest them, and do some adjustments to the text before we meet in person.
Okay. Very good. Okay, that's an excellent idea. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll create, unless you have a shared drive that Windsor uses,
No. What I was doing my OneDrive or my Google Drive, and I give them access to the documents. So it's based on the email. So I give them access to to a specific email they provide, or I sometimes uh, leave the access open. But because these theses might be developed into papers to be communicated with, or sorry, published at articles, I don't
Mhm.
think that we leave it open. So the student will start the document and give access to you and me
Mhm.
using specific emails. Yeah.
Okay. So you would create folder for each student, and then uh, only that student and the professors could access that. Is that correct?
I can do this, but even the student themselves, they can start a Google Doc and
Okay.
make it only accessible to the three of us, you and me and the student.
Okay. That
Yeah.
would be good. Okay. Well, we'll
Especially
discuss.
that, yeah,
Right.
especially that we have a very a small number of
Mhm.
students
Yes.
this term. So maybe in the next term we will try to figure out something more practical. Yeah.
No, that sounds good. So I think that would work. Very good. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Allen. Those are good tips. Okay, so I guess this is my thing. Let's get organized, right? So I did talk about the week one discussion, introduce yourself, and then what's your favorite argument. So, and then we have some catching up to do, right? Because technically we're already in week two, so we have to do a little bit of catching up. And another thing that I'm going to do is I'm leaving the assignments open. There's just no you can only access it at this time. I'm actually going to have as soon as I build them and put that in, and they'll be accessible because this delayed start. Okay, so that'll be in there as well. And again, so this week you want to be reading in chapter one, critical thinking and the art of questioning in that textbook, engaging questions, and then in chapter one also reading critically, and that's the connected composition essentials handbook. Okay, and then we can do that week two discussion, and then we talked about that critical thinking quiz, and that's due there. Okay, so
So
let's go ahead. Okay,
before we,
sorry.
sorry,
Okay.
so before we move forward, one question
Mhm.
about what we have
Yes.
discussed so far. So we have a portal, we have the thesis style there, and we are like at any other course, we'll be uploading our discussions, arguments, and then the assignments or anything related to um, thesis writing. Plus, we'll be following up on a different folder where we are having like back and forth of comments. I'm trying to follow that because if we are like the way we have been doing on the like that, if I'm submitting my assignment on the portal,
Mhm.
um, usually like any feedback is given there. So now in this case, like we are saying that we'll be doing it in the Google Drive or somewhere and then following up there. But
Yeah, we're still discussing that and trying to figure out what's the most practical way to accomplish that. So even if you submit your drafts, you're starting your thesis draft and you're
Mhm.
working on it along the way, and you upload it to the Google Drive. What Dr. Awaad was saying is that we would both provide some feedback. So we would make those comments
Mhm.
in that doc, and then we would give you some feedback on the way and some suggestions.
Okay, in the process. Okay, I see. Okay, sounds
Yeah,
good.
the idea is that the thesis is a living document,
Mhm.
and every student will of course uh, focus maybe on their specialization on a topic that they would love to do their research, and um, using the contents that we will share in this course, you will start working on your thesis on a specific topic, designing your quantitative and qualitative methods, theming, create synthesizing what is already written. Maybe you might have some interviews asking practitioners in a specific field, your field of study. So this living document, it's not just about the assignments, it's about developing the thesis at the end. So this is the main output, a written thesis that has the problem that you are discussing or opportunity that you have seen in a specific field, and your argument around it, your research around it. So that's the idea of having this Google Doc and the discussion, because at the end, this will be your living document that you will be building along the way.
Okay, no, understood. I think I was confusing or mixing the assignments or discussions along with the. So now I understand that focus is just keeping that draft thesis in the Google Drive and keeping it open for your review so that you can provide any feedback. So totally clear. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this video. Looking up questions.
We all strive to learn, and learning is one thing that we should never stop. It all starts from our parents to school, college, workplace, and even society. But have we ever wondered how questioning impacts our learning? Well, it's a tool that not only forces you to rethink, but to challenge the existing theories. But some of us might not be in a habit of asking questions. It may be due to our fear, shyness, and overthinking about how others will judge our question, or whether it is relevant or not. In this video, we will discuss some of the benefits of asking questions. Let's jump into it. Number 1, boosts your knowledge. Raising your hand now and then might feel awkward. But it is imperative to do so when it comes to your knowledge. It will allow you to think from others' perspectives and widen your approach to a particular problem. It will be an add-on to your existing knowledge, which will help you at every corner of your life. Number 2, keep up your curiosity. We all were curious in our childhood, when we had that zeal to know more, and more about the outer world. But with time it fades away, and we stop asking questions. How, why, when? We end up using such things, accept what is taught, and tell us. But this can be regained by asking questions and finding reasons for every small thing. Number 3, enhances your creativity. By asking questions in class, or at the workplace, you will give yourself a chance to think from different angles, and this will eventually lead to thinking more creatively. You will not simply settle with the existing theories. Instead, challenge them. It can give you exposure to think about something in a different way. Number 4, build your confidence. Another advantage of asking questions is that it boosts your confidence, not only while asking and speaking, but also in that particular field. Initially, asking questions might not look important. But eventually, you will realize you have a better understanding of the concept, and you will feel more confident. Number 5, motivates you to learn more. Asking questions not only widens your knowledge, but also motivates you to learn more. It has a far-reaching effect on our mindset. You'll not only learn the academic part, but also give yourself some space to explore and learn the smallest of the smallest natural phenomena. Just look around, and you'll find many questions that still need to be answered. As we all know that learning should never stop, and by asking questions you're learning new things that will keep your mind engaged and young. Learning is like rowing upstream. not to advance is to drop back. These are all some of the advantages of asking questions. Hope this is useful. If you like the video, give thumbs up. If you are new to our channel, consider subscribing.
Okay. All right. So, what do you think about that video? What is some of your thoughts about asking questions?
For sure, Professor. I mean, if we want to become educated about any topic, it can be anything from educational to joining a new project and understanding what is been happening so far in that project. It's very important to ask questions. So definitely it goes without saying that asking question is very important.
Very good. And the narrator also hinted at you want to question things that we might otherwise take for granted. So you question anything that seems like, okay, you don't quite understand it, or maybe you don't agree with it. Speak up, and because a lot of times people will destroy theories, based on just inquiry. They decide, I don't accept that theory. I think that there's a flaw in it, and so they'll start to ask questions, and then their questioning leads to either improving upon that theory or completely changing, the perspective of that theory. Something that people just accepted for the longest time. You hear about how for the longest time people didn't understand the concept of the world to be in this sphere, right? They just figured, well, it was just flat, and then they were afraid to even sail the oceans. They thought that eventually you'd just go over the edge. But people questioned that, and it took explorers to discover that that is not true. The world is not flat. It's a sphere, and we're all held here by gravity. When we can thank a lot of the scientists, and Isaac Newton, and others for giving us that knowledge. So that's how we can develop new theories of understanding and new revelations, if you will, as we do this research and we explore. So in this course, that's really what you're going to have an opportunity to do. You're going to look at something that might be something that we all just kind of take for granted, or maybe we're not aware of it at all. It's just one of those things that it's just not in our vision, because it's not something that impacts us on a day-to-day, or we're not aware that it impacts us. So this is your chance to build this, this awareness through your thesis, and to also argue some of these perceptions that we just kind of, as I said before, just kind of take for granted, and we accept it and say, okay, that's just the way it is. Maybe it isn't the way it is. Okay, so good. I think I had timed this thinking that we're going to have everyone here, and it is a pretty small class. I think there's only 3 other students. Is that correct, Dr. Awaad? I think that's right.
Yes, in total we have 4. Yeah.
Okay. So the next slide would have been the break, but we're not going to do the break. We're just going to go right to this next section here. And so this is in the textbook, Engaging Questions: A Guide to Writing. And then the preface, I thought, well, this is a good place to start, because it kind of gives us a definition of this engaging questions. So why is that so important? And so I just wanted to kind of explore that a little bit. Okay, so I got this quote here, and I use this quote in the textbook as well. And Voltaire, he was a philosopher and a poet and novelist, and he wrote essays, and kind of did it all. Was quite the eclectic individual when it comes to academic um, skill and knowledge. But this quote here says, "Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers." So, but before I go on, what do you think about? What do you visualize when you see that? What comes to mind for you when you read that quote?
So, Professor, I think because we all think differently, maybe what Voltaire think that judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. I mean, I would say that we need to judge on the both ends, because asking questions does definitely make you understand how much knowledge somebody is carrying. But
Mhm.
then the way they are answering also confirms that they actually have that knowledge. So I think for me, I would look at both, that how what questions they are asking and how they're answering.
Mhm. Very good. Yes, I like that. So yeah. So that's when I look at that, I think, okay, so um, I think for me it means where it lets me know where they're coming from as far as their experience, their perspectives on just things in general, and kind of gives me a little bit of hint of what they may have experienced um, in their life. So we will all look at things differently, like you just said. So for some, it might be a very pleasant experience, to go through. Let's say, for example, it was an earthquake. I lived in California, and we would have these earthquakes, and some people were just absolutely terrified. It didn't matter how small the earthquake was; it could just have been a tremor. But others, it was an adventure for them. I kid you not, they enjoyed it. They thought, wow, this is incredible. It gives them, this image of how powerful Mother Nature is, right? That this shifting of the tectonic plates can cause, um, so much, uh, damage or just cause things to move and shake. So that's one extreme example, but there's just others as well that we can probably use. So good. That's very good. I like the concept of looking at both ends, the question and the answer. So that's good. Very good. All right. So again, so there's that quote again. Okay, engaging questions is dedicated to the spirit of writing as discovery, encouraging students to interact with the text they read and write. So this is talking about the textbooks. This is their goal, their mission when they developed this book. And reading and thinking before writing. Okay, so engaging questions transforms passive learners into active learners, empowered to ask their own questions and pursue those questions wherever they lead. So and then they have some bullet points here. So what do you think about that? It says questions, engaging questions. So that's the key word. It has to be an engaging question that causes this back and forth communication. It really piques someone's curiosity. Is engaging question, but it transforms passive learners into active learners, empowered to ask their own questions and pursue those questions wherever they lead. So in the concept of a thesis, and that's a pretty good summary. It really is. I like that. So what do you think about before we even look at the bullet points, what do you think about this statement? How it transforms passive learners into active learners. What does that mean to you? And I hate to put you on the spot like that, Sonia, because
Yeah, I think there is nobody. Yeah, so definitely I'm on the spot today. So in my understanding, an engaging question is definitely, I mean, we go through so many quizzes, not just in the learning phase of this, like we are doing masters, but on the day-to-day basis also, like when we are engaged in a project, there is so many questions which comes to our attention. But I think the engaging question is basically which challenges us and really, encourages our critical thinking, that uh, so which basically, challenge me, and it is awakening my critical thinking. And when I'm responding to it, like it's like something, around my interest. So that is what I believe, that is like for these days people are like more towards AI. And I, like me being in IT, what is like going to catch my attention is really technology, anything technology related, or on that topic. Yeah, okay, then I will definitely triggered right away. Okay, this is something I really need to pay attention to. So I think it's interest, and which stimulates my curiosity and encourages me towards critical thinking, is something which is engaging.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Yeah, AI is been around for a long time, but for whatever reason, ChatGPT and Google Bard and some of the others have really caused us to take a front row in the discussion in academia and in the corporate world as well. So especially generative AI. One of the things that I was thinking about as you were responding to my question was that we're going to look at how strong your argument is. That's one of the things that we'll be reviewing when we look at your draft along the way. One of the things that I do reviews for journals, and these are we have Mr. Rostami. It's like, oh yeah. Hey, welcome.
Yes, we have Mansoor here. Yeah.
Great. Welcome. Okay, so and so what I look for when I'm reviewing those, so these are research papers, these are other PhDs. Sometimes they're students who are working on masters. They want to get the publishing credits in so that they can apply for a grant to enter into a doctoral program. But I look at the strength of the argument. How well is that argument supported? And it isn't about how intelligent the student is, because like I said, these are PhDs, these are master's students, but again, they have to really support the argument that they're trying to make. And so that's what I'll do in my feedback when I'm reviewing those articles, is give them feedback on, listen, I didn't quite follow this. It kind of contradicts itself here. I don't see a resource here where you've actually cited, your source. It seems like this is just your opinion, and there's nothing there to support it. So those are some of the things you want to think about when you're getting into that thesis draft, because that's the kind of feedback that we'll give you, as well as other things too. But most of you have the APA style formatting down, so I don't think we'll be spending a whole lot of time on that as far as our feedback goes. But we really just want you to be able to build a strong argument and support that argument with some of the research literature, as well as your qualitative and quantitative data analysis. So welcome to the class, Mr. Mansoor Rostami. And we were just talking about this engaging questions, and we were focused on this explanation here where it says engaging questions transforms passive learners into active learners, powered to ask their own questions and pursue those questions wherever they lead. And this is in one of the textbooks. We have 2 textbooks for this course, and I will be reviewing that in a minute for you. But so do you have any questions for us, Mr. Rostami? Do you have any opinions on this?
No, not for now, sir. Thanks.
Okay. Another thing that we talked about too. This is a quote by Voltaire, and he says to judge a person by their questions rather than their answers. And Samia gave us a response saying that she would actually judge a person on both ends, the question as well as the answers that they provide. And then I said that for me, when their questions gives me some insight into their perspectives on different things, different experiences, different topics, and in situation. I give this example of earthquakes in California, where some people are absolutely terrified of them, and others, it's an enjoyable experience for them. Other than when there's a lot of destruction and if there's fatalities, because that's not enjoyable. But for them, it's just a different perspective. We had a friend also who loved thunderstorms like that as well. And thunderstorms, for me, it's a time to be inside and shelter and not to be outside. But whenever we had a bad thunderstorm, this friend would come over and visit me and my wife, and stand at the front door with the lightning and thunder, just crackling, and saying that it was a time that they really enjoyed being out. They would just drive around, enjoyed thunderstorms. So, again, those are extreme examples, but there's other things that we can talk about in topics, and some things that are controversial. But that's why you have opposing views. You can debate anything, right? Because there's always going to be an opposite point of view when it comes to different topics. So they kind of get some details here what they mean by this transforms passive learners into active learners, empowered to ask their own questions and pursue their own those questions wherever they lead. And it says, in reading and thinking before writing, to interpret texts and assignments, and to evaluate the credibility of sources. And so that's so important. Sometimes we think if someone has PhD, after their name, then what they say is, it's the gospel. It's true, and you're not going to argue with that, and just kind of move on. But we're teaching. You're going to teach you to be critical thinkers in this course. Better critical thinkers, and to be critical readers as well as critical writers. So we're going to cover that in this course, and that is very, very important as you develop these theses. Okay, and then it says in planning and organizing, to investigate the writing situation, to find a topic, and to formulate a coherent thesis. Okay, in drafting, to consider choices of style, voice, and genre, and question the effectiveness of the choices made. So that gives you a chance to review. Dr. Awaad said it's a living document, and that's absolutely right. You're not going to just throw up a draft and then they're going to be done with it. And that never happens. That doesn't happen in publication. It's rare that even the best writers will throw a one draft and have it published by a major publisher. Now, if you're self-publishing, you can publish anything, right? You can have a generative AI publish it, but you better be careful because they are being sued now for plagiarism. So if you do that, you're going to want to make sure you cite your sources. If it's nothing more than just doing the APA style of citing generative AI models and saying that's where you get your information, it protects you that way. And then, of course, we talk about revising and editing here as well. So let me back up a little bit. We're not going to go through the video again. We did have a video here, Mr. Rostami, but I'm not going to do the video, but I am going to go back to some other things that I think are probably important to cover for you. Okay, so these are the two textbooks that we're going to have for this course. Okay, and those are accessible on Moodle, so you should have access to both of those. There, if you do not, please let us know, because that's where all of your reading is going to come from, these two texts. There won't be anything beyond that other than your own research. Okay, and then this is the syllabus. Go back to that. Okay, and then I talked about let's go back to that. Okay, so then we talked about how I have got this formatted so that, you know, the first week, we're actually in the second week because we had a little bit of a delay. So just consider, you know, you want to be working on these first 2 weeks, okay, for now. And we do have the discussion and the quiz there for week 2. And then this essay is just, you know, I'm going to be flexible there. And if you want your essay to be based on what you want your thesis is going to be, so that you're actually developing as we go along, that's fine too. Yeah, we can do that. It doesn't have to be the topic that I put in there. It can just be you using the skills and the concepts that we discussed in those chapters in that lecture in that section of your draft. Okay, so I will accept that. And then, you know, again, we talked about doing one-on-ones. So this is where I will schedule a one-on-one in real time with you just individually to talk about your thesis. We will do this to begin with, just to talk about the topic, to make sure it's a good, a strong thesis topic. It isn't something that's really saturated, but and of course nothing's going to be unique. You know, you're it's not likely that you're going to discover something brand new, but it might be something that, you know, doesn't get a whole lot of attention, or maybe you have a very unique perspective on that particular thing. So that that would be good. So we'll look at that, and then we'll just kind of build upon that. And I think we're going to try to do those at least once every 2 weeks. I don't know, Dr. Awaad, maybe we should do those every week. We have a small group. I'm not sure. That, so.
Well, I think 2 weeks is better, so they will have enough time to work on something substantial for discussion.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also want to add something, because everyone is in a specific industry or a specific location. So, and this is for the students, when you are thinking of a topic or a question for your thesis, I always say start with something that bugs you, that irritates you in your field or your location. So, for example, I know that Mansour, for example, from Afghanistan. So maybe there is certain problem that you can see in your community, and you need to dig deeper. Maybe addressing why this problem exists. Not always that you can have a solution, but even highlighting some of the reasons or the causes for the phenomenon that you witnessed in a certain context or a community. So that's why it's very important to choose something that dear to you or close to you professionally. So you will have the knowledge. You might have access to some resources that are specific in this community, people that you can interview, um, or maybe some documents that you have access to and you are allowed to review and include in your research. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I like that you mentioned that you might not necessarily come up with a solution and solve something. In fact, most research doesn't. But it opens up a dialogue, and so that more research is done, and or more people are paying attention to that particular thing, and you have more. You build a community of people who are now addressing that problem. So that's that's very good. Thank you. Java. That's great. Okay. All right. So and that's do you have any questions on the syllabus, Mr. Rostami? No.
No, sir. Thanks. It's clear.
Okay. Absolutely good. Good. Very good. Okay. All right. Okay. So we could do a break here, or we could just go through and just end early if you want to. It's up to you. I'll give you that choice. There's not a whole lot of content here. We just wanted to do this orientation and then just kind of touch on some of the topics here. I have some more slides here that I can cover, but I think those slides would take up more, maybe half an hour, tops. So do you want to do a 2-minute break here and then come back? Or do we want to press forward? I'll let you decide. I'll leave it to the students. So what is your choice?
A 5-minute break is good, and so that we can complete.
Okay. All right.
Thank
So
you.
let's go ahead and we'll do that break. And then so we'll do 5 minutes, and so you'll come back at that's 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay.
Sure.
All right. We'll see you. Okay. So Dr. Awaad, I was thinking that if we end
Yes.
early here, then you're not going to talk a little bit more about the logistics, because I have a hard stop at 9 p.m.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Here, good. Everyone's back. You know, we got the first snow here already. It's I can't believe that it's already starting to snow in some parts of Utah. I live in the state of Utah. Okay. So concept close-up. Okay, visualizing the structure of a case. The case has the following structures. Okay. The claim the claim answers the question, what are you asserting? So that's important. So, first of all, you have to be making a statement about something, right? It has to be a definite statement. You have to be making a definite assertion. Say, I think this. It's not just free writing where you're just writing about current events, but you're actually taking a stand. You're asserting your position on a specific topic, and so that's very important. So then reasons answers the question, why do you make this claim? Okay. And then evidence answers the question, what information confirms your reasoning? So again, that goes back to what I was talking about as far as you have to have some evidence that this is a real thing. You know, you didn't just make it up. This isn't just your imagination. But this is something that exists. This is something that is a pain point for others as well as just yourself, or something that others will recognize. As soon as you bring up this topic, you will have others, you know, so they will be aware. They might not agree with you, but they are aware of it, and others have written about this, done research, published research about it. So there's definitely a whole well, not, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of literature out there on it, and in fact, sometimes that's even better if it's not a whole lot, but at least there's something there. And then you want to look beyond just that specific topic. So there's going to be some parallels, right? Some branches off of your topic, something that's relevant, but not specific. You know, it's not specifically that topic, but it is relevant because this thing that you're studying and you're arguing about affects other things as well. So, okay. Oh, good. Go ahead, Dr. Awaad. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay, so what I was just going over was these points here, and this just talking about the importance of what information confirms your reasoning. So that's so good. Any questions on this? This is I don't want to, you know, move through this. I think that you understand my teaching method is that I want to make sure that the concept is understood. It doesn't matter to me that I get through all of the slides tonight. That's not my goal. My goal is to make sure that you're learning something and that is clear. So any questions on this so far? Okay. All right, so and again, you can say, you know, I did have something comes up, just, you know, just speak up. Okay, I don't have any issues with that. Okay, so best practices. All right, sources of information for profiles. Besides interviewing the person you're profiling, talk to people who you know, people who know your subject as well or better than you do, such as friends, associates, family members, and other relatives. Now, I want to talk about that first one. When I first read that, I thought that is so important because sometimes I think that, you know, even for professors as well as for students, especially graduate students, we think we have this feeling that we have to know everything, right? And then, you know, because we all get this feeling of this imposter syndrome, right, that everyone talks about lately. But you don't have to know everything, really, and that's why we talked about engaging questions and questioning. Period. You don't have to know everything. You will benefit a lot from interviewing people who know much more than you do on a specific topic. In fact, that's a great way to write a thesis, is by going to subject matter experts on that topic and then getting their opinions, and or maybe even through some surveys, some qualitative methods where you're conducting surveys and getting feedback and information from these individuals, as well as maybe a formal interview where you're getting just this, you know, this wealth of knowledge that they have on this topic. So keep that in mind. It isn't about you being the source of all this information. In fact, you'll get some feedback on your paper if we see that. You want to make sure that you're looking for other sources of information, and there's going to be someone out there who knows as much, or if not more than you do on a topic. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's such a great point of when I saw that, I thought I really want to make sure that I emphasize that. Okay. All right. So find out if your person has written anything that you might gain access to: articles, books, text for speeches, diaries, journals, blogs, even email exchanges she or he might be willing to share. That's so important, right? And of course, with the email thing, that can be tricky because they're communicating with people who might not be part of your study and who haven't um, given you permission to share their information. But that's there's so many ways to collect information and data. So yeah, ask questions. A lot of people sometimes I'll forget about some of the publications that I have. I'll just think about, I've had a couple of books, but then someone said, no, actually you should write how-to articles, and you have more than a couple of dozen of those out there. And oh yes, I did do that, and so I'll forget about that. So there's all kinds of things, that people want when you get them talking about it. They might have more information than you're thinking about when you first approach them for information. So just ask them for anything they might have and be willing to share. Ask if you may look at scrapbooks or photo albums. So that's really good too. Images, like they say, they're worth 1,000 words, right? You can have images. Someone's captured an image of something that you're talking about. That is gold, to have that. So make sure you're asking about that. Look for information through the search engines like Google, news stories. And you can find, they say local papers, but everything is online now. A lot of periodicals don't even exist anymore. But your library databases, that's really important. You have access to a database here at Windsor. You have access to databases probably where you did your undergrad work as well, and some of you are working on a second master's because you wanted to do an MBA. I have access to the schools where I did my my master's degree and my PhD. I have lifetime access to the libraries. It is go in and have that. Even at different universities where I've taught, you have access to it for forever, and so that's so think about that. There's a lot of information out there, and a lot of resources for being able to gather that information. All right. Arrange to attend meetings or other gatherings of people in which your subject plays a prominent role. That is so important because that is where a lot of their thinking and these things can be think tanks. When you get there, they're talking about this topic, and they'll in fact, that's where you'll pick up on some of the language. A lot of times they have a specific lexicon, right? In different businesses and industries, they have their own language. I worked in wireless telecommunications for the longest time, and an acronym that you might use in daily life can mean something completely different in wireless telecom. For instance, we have ATM, right? Automatic teller machine. Well, in wireless telecommunications and in telecommunications, that's asynchronous transfer mode. It's a method by which data is transmitted. It has nothing to do with automatic teller machine. But so if you get into these groups and you can attend these meetings, you'll learn the lingo, right? You'll learn, and then you'll learn what's contemporary. What are they talking about now? Because maybe your topic is yesterday's news for them. It's just not something that is that they're talking about within that group and that community. Is no longer a thing for them. It's so it wouldn't be interesting to them. So something to think about. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, good. So let's see where we are. The art of questioning. Okay, so I like that the title of that, right? The art of questioning. What really persuades us? And so that's, here's where, and when we talked about this in the research and development management course, but in advertisement and marketing, they are really good at this, really good at the art of persuasion, and you don't even realize it's happening, but they are experts. And so many people say they are persuaded only by reasons and evidence. That is, logos matters most. um, Aristotle thought that ethos might be more powerful. That if we think that a writer is intelligent, well-informed, and trustworthy, and has genuine concern for our needs, we will tend to believe most of what that person says. Look at advertising, and you will probably conclude that pathos is the prime persuader. Nearly all ads appeal to emotions and attitudes most of all. And that's very, very true. Because they've learned this concept, and I talk about this a lot. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is just the absolute truth. You can be the most brilliant, but if there's no way for them to internalize that, to make it personal, you might lose them. Not with everyone. Some people just have a keen curiosity about everything. They're just these lifelong learners, and they just want to learn anything and everything. And so, as soon as a person engages them in a conversation, they're engaged, and they're interested. But with others, if you don't say something, if there's not something in there that they can relate to, that's relevant to what's important to them, they're not going to stay engaged very long. So that is something very, very important to remember. Any questions on that? Any opinions on that? What do you think? I like to hear some of your opinions on this concept here. Pathos versus ethos, and okay. Well, think about it. Okay. So what do you think? Consider the last important decision you made. How did you persuade yourself to do one thing rather than another? If someone tried to persuade you, what kinds of appeals did the person use? Which of these appeals had the most impact on the decision you made? So let's look at these. All right. If someone tried to persuade you, what kinds of appeals did the person use? So have you ever been persuaded? Someone ever tried to persuade you to do something that maybe you didn't want to do that, or maybe they were successful at persuading you, maybe they weren't? What are some of the things that they said or did to try to persuade you to do this thing, to accept their point of view, or to do something? Okay, I'll let you think about it. All right.
There is a good book. I think it's The Art of Persuasion.
Mhm.
And the professor who wrote this book actually said that there are 6 strategies. I don't remember all of the 6, but
Mhm.
one of the strategy that's very, very common and actually works every time is social proof.
Uh-huh.
So when someone comes ask you for something and they will tell you XYZ
Hmm.
did this, and you respect this XYZ, or you trust them, or there is something about them that makes them trustworthy, you
Hmm.
say, okay, as long as they accepted this, or they bought this, or they did this,
Hmm.
I'll do it.
Yes. And so that's absolutely right. So and I think they actually covered that in here. Does I could be wrong, but I believe they do. Um, Take some excerpts from that book, but that is what they do in advertising, right? They try to um, imagine this entity, this person, this individual, and they try to make this individual into what their target audience, what it represents them, but it's an individual they can trust, and they trust what they're saying, and therefore they will try the product just based on what Dr. Awaad was saying. This social proof, that is a very clever way that they do that, and it's very effective, very effective. Anyone else?
Yeah, Professor, I think in these days in the modern world, it's like that's why I was thinking again about persuading, that when is the last time when someone could persuade me, and
Mhm.
really I really, fall for it, okay, that
Mhm.
I believe it and I move forward with it. So I think in this modern world, everything becomes towards your interest. If it is something which is touching you emotionally or professionally or some way, then you definitely move forward with it and you are persuaded. But if it is not something, of your interest, or if it is not something which touches you in any way, your religious views or your personal views, professional, so you're not going to fall for it for sure. So it's difficult these days. Even if, yeah, it's a something, a religious group is doing where you also belong, but you might have different point of view, different views on it. So but yes, it happens. It's like logical that when we are in a social group and so many people are doing, sometimes people do fall, but I think that's not true for everybody.
Mhm.
um and people these days like really moving towards what is beneficial for them and is their interest. But yeah, it's like really true for some people as opposed to some other people.
Oh, very good. Yes, thank you. Yes, yes, that's true. You made me think about a couple of experiences that I had. So, all of my five children are adults, right? I'm a grandfather, um, and so uh, the youngest and her husband was staying here in our home until they made a move from here to Brooklyn, New York. They work in the financial district there. Actually, he's in electrical engineering, and she does financial work for Morgan Stanley and something like that, but risk analyst. But they would sit on we would watch a movie or a show, and then I would make a statement, based on something that, had just been an accepted belief, about this. And then they would pause it, and then they would both be on their phones, and what they were doing, they were fact checking what I was saying. So they would fact check, what Dad had to say. I thought it was so interesting, and they took nothing at face value. They said, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. So then they would go through, and then I more times than not, they would actually correct me, and I realized, oh, that's just some hearsay. That isn't based on any kind of fact. So that's just something
Well,
that.
this is not social proof. This is what is called authority.
Okay.
So Yeah, so you accept authority, and authority comes from different sources. Could
Mhm.
be authority of knowledge. So you
Uh-huh.
are knowledgeable in a certain field, so you are authority, or authority because of your experience or previous experience, or authority because of the job title.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
actually, I found my notes around this. It's
Oh,
very
good.
interesting. There are six strategies for persuasion.
Mhm.
That's why not one size fits all. The
Right.
first one is reciprocity.
Mhm.
So someone does something for you, so you feel that you are obligated to,
Mhm.
reciprocate. Also, commitment. If you feel that you are committed to a cause or someone.
Mhm.
Social proof is one of the strategies. Sympathy
Mhm.
and authority, and the last one is scarcity. When you feel that this will not last forever, uh, so you are afraid of missing out. Yeah.
Yeah, that one came into play a lot in the height of the COVID.
Yes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. That's excellent. Very good. Very good. So that's good. So maybe we can integrate that into some of the curriculum. But I think I remember seeing that. I'll have to look again, but I think they do talk about that in one of the textbooks. It could be the engaging questions textbook. I think so, and I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking about the author's, persuasion book. Okay, good, very good. Okay, so let's see. Um, did I have anything else in here? Nope, that's it. So let's go to. I do want to look at the actual fourth page. So let's go to. Oh goodness, it bounces out of the course. Let me go back in to the
So,
course.
Professor, I
Yeah.
don't think the textbooks is yet there on the portal. I was like cross-checking again and again, scrolling up and down, but I don't see the textbook yet there.
You can't. You don't have access. There's not a link for you to go to the
No,
textbook.
no, I don't see that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not seeing any link on the portal yet. Maybe I'll
Okay.
refresh and check again, but I don't think that it's there. I did it a couple of times.
Okay. I'll talk to our IT person to make sure that you have access to that. You should be able to access that. Dr. Awaad, do you know how that's done? I just took it for granted from the last class. They just had access to that. I don't know.
No,
Is it
I'm
something
I'm
like,
not sure. Maybe we need to contact Sarah with this, or no. Who's the other?
Mike? Could be-
Mike.
Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike is the one. Yeah.
yeah. I'll reach out to him as soon as we're done here,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sure. Okay,
Thank
so thank you for mentioning that. So what I'll do is we'll go into the book here. Okay. Because these are all timed out here. I'll just close those. And you're still seeing my screen. Is that correct? I'm still sharing.
No, not seeing your
Oh,
screen.
oh, okay. Well, that's not going to help you, right? Okay. All right. So here we go. So let me go ahead and launch both of these, and then we'll end. I'm not going to just drag it out, but just to drag it out. But so here is so this is and for this one, for some reason I'm not sure why it doesn't have the title page and everything, but this we're looking at this one right here, Connect Compositions Essentials Handbook. the fourth edition, and that's what this one is. But you'll notice here it covers a lot of. There's 9 parts in here, and then even down here it gets into some of the punctuation and grammar and things like that. But it talks about sense of style. But documenting sources, this is so important. And then of course we're not doing MLA. We'll be focused on the APA portion of that. So right here in chapter 13. And this is really good. I mean, it's really thorough. They really cover a lot, and it's just a great resource. And we're be going through this in one of the later weeks. And in fact, let me go back to the syllabus here. And here we go. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so in lecture 11, we'll be talking about that. So we'll be going through that. So yeah, I'll talk to our IT person, Mike, and make sure you have access to these, because these books are great. And like I always say, even if we don't cover specific chapters, I highly recommend that you try to read as much as you can, because these books are excellent. They're very, very good. Okay, so I'm not going to just hold you here, but this is your chance to ask some questions. You have any concerns? Mr. Rostami, we were talking about having meaning the students in general, have a shared drive, and you could create that, or we could create that and invite you. But that would be where you would upload your thesis drafts. I mean, everything, your outline, anything and everything that has to do with your thesis, you would upload to that shared drive, and only myself and Dr. Awaad and you, the students, would have access to that. It wouldn't be accessible by other students. So especially when you're interviewing people, you might have some proprietary information in there that you wouldn't want to share with the general public. So that's, and then we talked a little bit about doing the one-on-ones, and we'll get that hammered out and have all the specific details for that for you in a couple of days. And I'll just send that up on in WhatsApp, in our WhatsApp group, that WU MBA thesis group in WhatsApp. And I will be flexible. I know we have you get up in the morning. I can do that too, once or twice. I get up early mornings, or log on at midnight or whatever it is to get those one-on-ones done. Okay, this is your time, and we're here to support you, and we want you to be successful. A lot of times people will publish their thesis that will become general articles. They might become a series of articles, and sometimes they are even books. People publish books from their thesis. Okay, so any questions, any concerns? If you have any after we log off here, of course, just reach out to me in WhatsApp, and then once you have access to the Moodle page, you can also send messages in there as well if you need to do that. But WhatsApp is probably the best way. And it's I'll see that there's a notification for me, and I'll go and look. Okay, Dr. Awaad, do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about before we release the students?
Yes, actually, I would like to encourage them to start thinking of a problem or an opportunity, or a topic, because I think it we need to maybe discuss the topic or the question, because we will build the hypothesis around this. So start early. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Time is your friend. So, yeah, so take advantage of it. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
also one more thing from
yes.
experience. The turtle and the hair or the hair, I don't know
Mhm.
how you pronounce
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Strategy. So in this situation, the turtle strategy is the best. Yeah,
Mhm.
small steps but steady, consistent. So you will not find yourself, at the end of the term, and you didn't do your the due diligence or the analysis or enough interviews or something like this. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. And trust me, I know it's the same is true for Dr. Awaad. We've read enough papers to know that it was rushed. There's just certain things that the tone and it'll show. And you don't want to cheat yourself. This is your chance to really, you know, express your opinion and to be the voice um, on your topic. So, yeah, great, great, excellent. Any other questions from?
Yeah. So, sir, Professor, just one last question, and I
Yeah.
know we'll be having lot many questions as we move forward.
Mhm.
That would there be any limit of, like, yeah, we are thinking about the topic and we're moving forward. I think I already have topic in my mind. Maybe I have like few topics and I'll choose one moving forward. But would there be any word limit for the thesis? That what we are thinking that should be the last limit.
I don't know. And again, I need to separate the thesis from the dissertation. Um, uh, I think that a typical master's thesis can run anywhere from 50 pages or to 200 pages. I don't know. A dissertation can be 1,000 pages. So we, as far as words, I 10,000 words or whatever. I don't know
Okay.
if there's some expectation by the institution. I will have to check on
Sure.
that. But of course, be kind to Dr. Awaad and I, because we have to read them, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, definitely you're not going to really. Yeah, that's why I'm asking for limit, that because I know thesis could be really vast, and
mhm.
and topics could be really vast. Even if I'm choosing one single topic, it can have so much of information which I can put on the paper, and then, yeah, definitely at the end of the day you are reading it, reviewing it. So that's for that very reason I'm asking. So I look forward for that information, that how many pages you are expecting. And really, so far what you are sharing, and with experience with the previous course, research and development, I know that anytime we rushed assignment, you knew, okay, I rushed it because I was in India. You picked one of my assignment, I rushed it, and then you asked me to look back. So definitely I know that if we are rushing anything, already. So we'll make sure that this is like really our time to do a better research and then inputting, the paper. So we'll make sure. Thank you.
Absolutely. One of the things that we'll talk about in this course is how to be more concise in your language. So you can take, 5 pages of content, and if you really know how to whittle that down to just kind of take out a lot of content that's really repetitive, because that's the way we talk, right? And so we write the way we talk, and so sometimes stuff is just repetitive, and it's been said before. And so that's some of the things that we'll be looking at too. Dr. Awaad and I will be looking at that as we review your drafts, and we can just say, you can just eliminate this section that's just says the same exact thing that you said 2 pages ago. So this particular page doesn't need to be here. It's redundant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have a number like 20,000 to 30,000 words,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if it includes the appendices. Usually, the word count doesn't include
Mhm.
appendices, but I will make sure. But it's 20,000 to 30,000, and this include everything from the abstract to the literature review, of course, the hypothesis, the analysis,
Mhm.
and at the end, the conclusions. Yeah.
Okay, but it would not include your references and
Yeah,
um,
I doubt
yeah, because sometimes a reference you can have 5 pages of
or the
references.
appendices. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Very
yeah,
good. Thank
yeah,
you. That's good to know. So that's a good target. Okay.
yes,
20 to 30,000. That's a good target. So good.
yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Professor.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? More
No,
questions?
I think I'm good, Professor, but we'll look forward to a format because writing thesis in our own way or really following the university way, exactly how you want that document to be formatted. I
Right.
know APA style is one thing, but then it's a thesis. So it could be like maybe we don't know what
Mhm.
format you are looking forward. So if a rough format could be shared, that would be beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can find some examples. I'll work with
Template.
Dr. Awaad on
Yes,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. A template.
Okay, good. That's a very good point. Yeah, even with doctoral dissertations, it depends on which institution you're at. It can be they can have different requirements. That's absolutely a good point. Great question. Okay, so if there's no more questions right now, again, reach out to us on WhatsApp if something comes up after the fact and anytime. Just ask questions there, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And we will see you next Saturday. And the following week we'll start doing those biweekly one-on-ones. Okay. So
Thank
everyone,
you. Thank you, Professor Hanan. Have a
you're
great
welcome.
weekend. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, professors. Have a good time.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay. Um, okay. So, Dr. Awaad, did you want to uh, stay on for a minute or so, and then we can maybe talk about some of
Yes,
the. Okay.
yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I think now they left the meeting, so
Mhm.
I can stop. First, I can stop the recording.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to stop presenting.
Yeah.